Hey everyone, welcome to the only guide that you'll need to ward on Smite. We're going to go over each role, whether it's early game, late game. We're going to go over objectives and what kind of wards to place and when to ward them. Okay, so let's start off with the first map. So the first map that you can see here, this is just the regular Season 8 map. It's quite plain, there's no wards here at the moment. Right, so the second map, I've highlighted the entrances to all the lanes, well, the main entrances to all the lanes on the map in bright green. So there's 3 main entrances on the left hand side to the duo lane, there's 2 for the mid lane, and there's 2 for the solo lane. So these are the main warding points for the entrances of each lane. Then this yellow one, there's loads more dots here. These are the entrances and the exits of the jungle. So these are where you can see when the enemy team leave their jungle or when they're about to enter your jungle. So these are the entrances and the exits of your jungle. The fourth map is where to ward when you're dominating. The fifth map is where to ward when you're getting dominated. So whether you're dominating the game or you're getting dominated, you still need to ward the objectives with a sentry ward. And that is the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant. So let's start off with each role. Carries would want to place a ward at the top of the lane and at the bottom of the lane to prevent dying from ganks from the jungler or the mid laner. If you lose your tier 1 tower, then you would want your second ward to be a bit lower. Mid laners would want to ward each side of their lane, as you can see on the screen, and solo laners would want to ward the top and the bottom of their lane to prevent dying from ganks from the jungler. As a support, you'd want to cover everywhere your teammates have missed. So if your teammates are only using the 3 wards, so they're only using 1 ward, then you would want to cover the areas that they're missing. So if your mid laner is only warding the right hand side of their lane, then you'd want to ward the left hand side. However, let's say everyone in the lanes have warded properly, then the extra wards that you would place would be either at the entrances of your jungle if you want to play defensive, or you'd play it at the exits of the enemy jungles, which is higher up, which is more aggressive. And with the jungler would want to do the same thing. The jungler would want to early game ward the entrances of your jungle to avoid being jungle invaded, or the exits of the enemy jungle, and that way you know where they are, you know where the enemy jungler is. So if you ward, let's say at the top right, if you ward there and you see the enemy jungler there, then you know it'll be really safe for your team, would know it'll be safe for you to go for the Gold Fury because the enemy jungler and the solo lane is on the right hand side. FYI, the reason why you don't ward the actual lanes is because your minions will give you a vision on whoever's on the lane most of the time, so that's why you don't tend to ward lanes. Mid game, you want to start warding the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant, and you would want to get sentry wards for these, especially, not just regular wards, because if you place a regular ward, the enemy team might take it down with a sentry ward. So yeah, so with their own sentry ward, so you would want a sentry ward yourself. The person who's responsible for doing that is everyone on the team. So everyone has to get their own sentry ward and place it whenever they can, whenever there's no ward on it. It doesn't matter if you're the carry, it doesn't matter if you're the solo, you have to do it yourself. If there isn't a sentry ward on the objectives, then you need to do it, regardless of whatever role. Mid to late game, you want to start looking at these types of wards here. If you're dominating, use the left hand side, and if you're getting dominated, then use the right hand side. And here's where, you know, the laning phase is over and you're kind of like rotating a bit more, you're perhaps grouping up a bit more, and you're looking to get the objectives or win team fights. Everybody in their role will have to choose some of these ward spots here, so either play it aggressive or play it defensive. In the dominating map, there's more ward spots, so there's a ward spot for each of the enemy jungle buff. Even if the enemy team are playing super defensive, they would ideally want to get their own buffs first, so that's why if you ward their buffs, you'll know where someone is, and you can either gank them or you can either put pressure on the other side. And there's a ward for the exit of each of their jungle, so there's 4 wards for their buffs and 4 wards for the exit of their jungles, and that way you'll know whenever they're at their buffs or about to exit their jungle. and then you'd place a sentry ward on the objectives. If you're getting dominated, then you would want to place a sentry ward on the objectives if they haven't already gotten it. You'd also want to place a ward on the entrances of each of your jungle, so that way you'll know where they're coming from. Only 6 ward spots there, and you can ideally get 2 wards each, so the other 4 wards would be wherever you would want to place that. So if you want to place it deeper into your jungle, then you can do. If you want to place it at a more of a neutral spot on the map, then you can do. It's wherever you choose basically, but these are the 6 key points and the entrances for your jungles. You can also place it at the entrances of your tier 2 towers. It's just wherever you want to decide. Yeah, so the early phase you want to place it at the entrances of the lanes or the jungles, and the late games, these are the 2 ones you want to place at. Now just remember, it's everyone's job to ward. It's not just the supports or the mid laners. It's really important that those 2 ward, but it's literally everyone's job. If you're a carry and you can ward your lane and avoid dying by getting ganked, then you just saved yourself a lot of gold, because if you die you lose a lot of gold from the wave or the buffs. So literally a 50 gold or a 50 gold ward or a Chalice of the Oracle, they only cost like 50 gold or 400 gold, but every time you don't die from a ward, then you're saving about 500 gold. Also, if you're warding their buffs and you go into invade and kill them, that's like an extra 500 gold, which is fantastic. The actual in-game value are like 500 gold each for the wards. And if you're sentry warding the objectives and you can get the objectives, I think the gold fury is like 1,000 gold, and the fire giant gives you like a massive buff. They're worth thousands. If you can ward the objectives and get it, or stop the enemy team from getting it, you're literally saving thousands. So for 120 gold sentry ward, you're getting thousands in value back. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.